Well, John Richards, I'm pleased to say, is with us. He's the president of Atheism UK. Atheism UK is Britain's only distinctively atheist organization. Thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure. When was this Atheist Alliance established, and how many members are registered in the UK?
Right. Well, there's a slight misunderstanding here because Atheist Alliance International is not the organization that I'm with at the moment.
Uh-huh.
I worked as publications director of Atheist Alliance International until earlier this year, and then I changed my job, and I'm now president of Atheism UK, which was established in 2009 and has over 3,000 members. You can find it on the Atheism UK website, YouTube channel, and social media sites.
Mm-hmm. What are your objectives? Do you want people to realize that God doesn't exist? Is that your objective? And why do you think that will be in the interest of people?
Well, I'm a retired science teacher, and I want people to realize how we know things, what counts as evidence, and how we discover information. And religions do not follow a sensible route to providing answers to mysteries. So my job is to enable people to think more critically and achieve a more rational world.
Mm-hmm. And many people who believe in God would point to the origin of the universe as evidence, and God as being the first cause. How do atheists explain the origin of the universe, of matter, energy, and the laws which control them without the existence of God?
Sure. That's being an atheist is simply a case of not being convinced by the claims of assorted religious people. So it's incorrect to expect non-believers to have access to specialist knowledge as a result of their atheism. However, if you ask scientists how they explain the origin of the universe, matter, and energy, I suspect that most will tell you that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, it's only religious people who claim to know the answer to that question, and they do so without any evidence. As for the so-called laws of the universe, these are mental models that were deduced by observing nature. And it's not right to think of them as controlling the universe. They don't correct or punish deviations. They are just representations of how things appear to behave. In fact, to illustrate how much they are mental models or maps of reality and not the territory itself, about 100 years ago, our models were revised from those of classical physics to those of relativity and quantum mechanics.
Sorry, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, but surely that what you are saying is our understanding of those laws has changed. Those laws themselves have not changed. Don't you suspect that there is an originator of those laws, and that would point to the existence of God?
I can't rule out the possible existence of a creator deity, but I don't have any evidence for it.
Mm-hmm. And how do atheists account for the fact that for thousands of people, or yes, for millions and millions of people, thousands of years, people have claimed that they have experienced God, even if they do describe God in different ways, but they've all, testified to the fact that they've experienced God in such a way. I mean, how would you explain that? Is that just something that's fanciful?
That's a good question. The answer I give is experiences are not evidence, and testimony is not reliable. I mean, I could testify that I have fairies at the bottom of my garden. You see, evidence must be shareable. You can't experience my headache and I can't experience your stomach pain. So the only way we can communicate experience is by listening to what the person making the claim tells us, and then we have to decide whether to believe them or not. And that person may have been experiencing a migraine, an epileptic incident, or some other condition, and how would we know? During investigations using EEG equipment, patients' brains have been observed undergoing activity that they have reported as being in the presence of God. And similar feelings can be experienced at a concert or during exercise, and it's due to brain chemicals. Many people are convinced that they've been abducted by an alien, and they have a very vivid recollection, but do you think that really happened? It would seem doubtful to me. And are their beliefs in any way different? Is the validity of their experience not the same as that claimed by religious people? And are any of these claims true? Reality would suggest not. As for thousands of people, or millions of people, claiming these experiences, or claiming these beliefs, well, once upon a time, everyone, and I mean everyone, the whole population of the planet, once believed that the sun went round the earth. So, thinking that truth can be arrived at by polling people and counting their votes, that's not the way. In fact, it's what is known as the vox populis fallacy.
But surely, if there is this mass of experiences, that would lead you to at least draw some credibility from what these experiences are leading to, wouldn't you say?
Well, if that was to be the case, they would need to provide some connection between their experience and the claim that they are making. For example, millions of people experience back pain. Do they try to connect that with the existence of a God?
Okay, I've got my colleague here. He wants to quiz you as well. Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, firstly, I just wanted to thank you, John Richards, for taking your time out and coming on the show. So thank you for that. I want to...
Can I just say thank you for giving me the opportunity? This is what I need to do.
Thank you. So do you think promoting atheism is indoctrination?
Well, there you reveal a misunderstanding. Because you said promoting atheism, and that implies that you think it's an ideology. It isn't. Atheism is simply not being convinced by the claims of believers. There's no values or principles or doctrines or scriptures associated with it, so there's nothing to promote. What we are trying to do is get people to examine claims critically.
Okay, thank you for that. And just lastly, I wanted to ask you, have you always been an atheist yourself? And if not, what led you to become an atheist?
Well, if you'll pardon me, I could ask that question back at you. Have you always been a Muslim? You see, the thing is, when we're born, we have no language. And so religious people have to wait until their babies can speak, until we can understand language, before they can sell their faith to us. And I was lucky because that never happened to me. If you'll pardon the expression, I chose my parents well. They weren't religious people, and they didn't live in a religious culture. So I count myself as very lucky, since I never got inducted into a faith, and therefore I haven't had to escape from one. And that means I haven't had to risk being stoned to death for apostasy. The thing is that those who discover, after wasting years of their lives in a religion, that they were deceived, they are the most militant, most aggressive atheists, because they have a justifiable grievance to be angry about. Now, you can find more about me on my Free Thought Productions YouTube channel, where you will be able to see me debating lecturer Imran Hussain at Manchester University Islamic Society last year.
John, before you go, you mentioned when starting this discussion that as a scientist, this is something that you cannot bring yourself to believe in the existence of God. But many scientists do believe in the existence of God. I was really thinking of Isaac Newton, who pointed to certain observations of his that pointed to the existence of God. The opposing thumb was one, and the first, was it, and one or two other things, but the opposing thumb was one of the aspects that he drew attention to, that for him convinced him that there is a creator. So where do you stand on that?
Well, again, that's a good question. Isaac Newton lived 500 years ago, and during a time when belief in a God was endemic. You would have been a very odd person in that society if you came out as a non-believer. Although, of course, there were a few, and there always have been. If you want to go back further in time, there's Epicurus, who was a famous Greek scholar who doubted the existence of a God. So the fact that a few scientists in the deep past, when we knew pretty much nothing, thought that there was a God, it doesn't count. He doesn't carry much weight. And I accept that there are a few scientists today, I can't think of any name at the moment, but the vast majority of scientists, particularly biologists, do not accept the claim that there is a creator deity because there's no evidence for it.
No, but this is what I was actually trying to draw your attention to, that Newton, for example, actually pointed to certain observations of his that led him to believe in the existence of God. It's not the fact that it's not just belief in God, but the observations that he drew attention to. What are your thoughts on those observations that he mentioned?
Okay, another good question. What he was pointing at was a mystery at that time. We didn't know why or how the opposable thumb came about. We've got a pretty good explanation for it today, but mysteries are not answers. Mysteries are questions. And so claiming that because we don't know this, my God done it, it's not logical.
Okay, no, thank you very much. I would love to talk to you longer, but our time is up, I'm afraid, and we've got another caller as well that we need to speak to. So, John Richards, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your thoughts on this very important subject. President of Atheism UK, and you also gave us a website, didn't you?
Yes, atheismuk.com.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know how to contact me. I'll be happy to come back.
Okay, great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.